Well, what is happening, Marvel fans? Welcome back to the channel. I am D-WIZZLE, and welcome to another edition of my podcast. And today we are continuing on into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've already talked about if you guys are new to the channel, we've already talked about the other installments of the MCU, going back from Iron Man to the most recent show on Disney Plus, WandaVision. So if you guys want to check out our podcast on that, I'll leave a link in the description below to a playlist, and you can check it out. But today we are continuing on with the most recent new show on Disney Plus. We will be talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And joining with me today, I have a newcomer to the channel. I have Kaylee.
Hi.
Cool. Yeah, Kaylee, newcomer to the channel. I'm so glad to have you here, geeking out about stuff we love. I know you're big into Marvel as well, so I had to have you on here. But yeah, let us get into this. So, when it came to the first streaming show on Disney Plus, WandaVision, for the most part, I enjoyed it. I felt like there was some messy things with the writing towards the later half. I thought it had a really good setup with the sitcom stuff from each era, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I thought that was really unique for the time, for what they were doing with Marvel, so I thought that was pretty creative. But like when we started to get into the real world stuff, and that I felt was kind of modeled in places, but I still had a good time with the show. And of course seeing Scarlet Witch in her comic book accurate suit like that, I thought that was amazing. And I loved the chemistry between Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. I thought they were great. So how did you feel about WandaVision? You watched it, right?
Yeah. So I really liked WandaVision. Like you, I thought that using the different decades and different types of sitcoms for the first parts of it was really interesting. I actually watched the other day the Marvel Assembled episode about it, and I know Elizabeth Olsen was like super excited that they were doing sitcoms, because she was like, yeah, when I was in acting school they always had us do these sitcom practice things, and I was like, I'm never going to use that. And then she was like, I got to use it, it was super cool. And I guess everybody thought that she was super funny on set. So I was like, that's great, because she gets to flex her acting skills, and I love her a lot. Wanda is actually my favorite MCU female character, so I was like, yes, there's going to be a series. It's going to focus on her. It's going to be great. I really liked it a lot. I am a huge Evan Peters fan, as you know. I've cosplayed Quicksilver from the X-Men movies. So I was looking forward to him being in it once I learned that. And then they made him super bro-y, which I know they were trying to make him annoying, like, to be a point. But I was like, oh God. I was like, this is not the Quicksilver I'm used to, which is great writing because they kind of were trying to make you not quite trust him, I think. So it was kind of good that they did that, because if they had just had him be how he was in the X-Men movies, or if they'd used actual Pietro from the MCU movies, that wouldn't have thrown up as much of a red flag, which that was one of the first instances that it wasn't something Wanda was controlling. So especially such a big thing as that, a new character showing up in her show, alternate realities. But I thought that their writing was pretty solid. I thought it was really good. There were a number of characters that I was really happy to see in it that I wasn't sure that they were going to be able to put over into other things. Like, I do really like Darcy from the Thor movies. I was really happy that she was in it.
Yeah, I actually liked her in that, yeah.
Monica Rambeau was like a great reference to Captain Marvel that I was, this is cool. I'm so glad that they used her because she's such a cool character. But I did think there were some things that were lacking a little bit. Like, I really liked Agnes, and I thought she was, the surprise of her being the villain was pretty cool, but I also don't think that they went into enough of her actually, Wanda actually being this Scarlet Witch from Witch lore. Like, they really didn't go into the Witch lore enough. I think if they'd maybe had more episodes or had done it more in than just one limited series, that they might have had time to flesh that out more. But the idea was great, but I just think that they didn't really flesh it out quite as much as I would have liked.
Yeah, and going back to the Quicksilver thing, like, since they're trying to, ease into the multiverse things, this is supposed to be like a prelude to that. Like, I wish we did just get the Fox Quicksilver, since they had the X-Men.
Yeah.
They own it, the Fox stuff now, so it's like, just go into that, just since you have the actors there.
Yeah, if they were going to use Evan Peters, I would have preferred that they did that. They could have done other things that threw up red flags about it too. They didn't necessarily have to, like, have him be so drastically different. Because while Quicksilver is a tad immature and broy in the X-Men movies, nowhere near how he is in WandaVision. He at least has, like, a sense of morality in the X-Men movies, and wanting to help people and that kind of stuff. So it was kind of an interesting choice that I think backfired a little bit, in that if they are trying to create this multiverse and they are trying to think of a way to add in characters from the X-Men universe, then it would have just made so much more sense for them to go the true Quicksilver from the X-Men universe route, but they decided not to do that. So
all right. So, getting to what people are waiting for us to talk about, Falcon and Winter Soldier. So when it came to this show, I know a lot of people were excited about it, but for me, I wasn't really. I mean, not to say that I don't like Falcon and Winter Soldier in the MCU. I actually really enjoyed them. And surprisingly, their chemistry in Civil War was some of the best parts of that movie. But I don't know. I just felt like that was kind of a forced concept to go into. But at the same time, like, since the end of Endgame, spoilers, when Cap gave the shield to Falcon, I did want to see, what he would do with the shield. Is he gonna, what's he gonna do with the mantle, since he pretty much just passed it on to him? But also at the same time, like, what's the development with Bucky as well? Because I've been feeling personally for a while that, I really like Bucky in the MCU, and I felt like they don't really go into his development enough. He always feels like a secondary character or someone in the background, where I feel like they could flesh out his character a lot more. So at least with this show, I felt like, okay, maybe they'll flesh out his development a little bit more. When it came to the trailers and stuff like that, it looked pretty good. It looked pretty straightforward. Like, I don't think it made me super excited, but I was like, okay, this looks good. It might be interesting. It pretty much looked, yes, budget-wise, it looked pretty much exactly like the movies, which is, I guess, I would expect with Disney, since they have money and stuff like that, to make it look exactly like the film. So on a production standpoint, it looked really good. So yeah, I sat down and watched this thing, and what did I think about it? I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. To compare it to WandaVision, do I think it's better than WandaVision? I don't know. Because there's some things that I think WandaVision did better, and then there's some things that I think that Falcon and Winter Soldier did better. So it's like, I don't know. I like it for different things, but I feel like it's on a similar quality. Like, I did enjoy it. I didn't love it. I felt like there's some things about it that felt uneven, and when it came to, the resolution of, conflicts, I felt like they wrapped it up really quickly in certain parts. But overall, I did have a good time with it. But yeah, that's my thoughts. What did you think about Falcon Winter Soldier?
Okay, so just to preface this, I am a huge Bucky Barnes fan. He is my favorite MCU character, and has been since Captain America: The First Avenger. So I was extremely excited that they were going to be doing a show that Bucky was going to be one of the main people. Because like you, I always was kind of like, they have him as a background character, and if you're deep in a comic lore, you know that Bucky Barnes is a huge part of the comic universe. I mean, he even trains Black Widow, like, it's a whole thing in the comic universe, but that's a whole other situation that would just take forever to go into. But I was very excited, because I really love Bucky, and I really, really like Sam, and I think Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are very good actors, and both have really stepped into their characters in the previous movies, so I was pretty excited about that. Now, I was one of those people that I did not pay attention to the trailers at all. I didn't want anything given away when I started watching. I actually was the same way with WandaVision, so I didn't pay attention to any of the trailers because I didn't want to know any surprises. Because since I know a lot of comic lore, I was like, if I see something, I could get spoiled because I'm going to know what's going to happen potentially because of the comics, or be able to guess what route they're going. So for me, unlike everybody else, Zemo being in it was an absolutely huge surprise that I didn't expect them to do. So there were a lot of surprises, and I was pretty happy with most of them. But I overall really liked the show a lot. I'm a very character-driven watcher in things. I have to be interested in the characters to really enjoy what I'm watching, which I think Marvel does a good job of in general. But I think that Falcon and Winter Soldier went into some areas that other Marvel movies, whether they went into them or not, didn't go into them very deeply. Something that is a huge deal with Bucky is his mental health. And I feel like in all of the other MC projects that he's been in, they haven't really gone into it. They've touched on it, but there haven't been those moments where you really realize just how low his self-confidence is now and how different of a person he is than he was in Captain America First Avenger, which is pretty obvious. He's very different. He's had a lot happen to him. He has not had a positive conclusion or positive trend in his storyline throughout a movie until this. Until this show, he did not have a positive storyline or an at least semi-positive outcome to the ending. So that was something that I feel we really needed to see, because Bucky has been in the MCU since like forever, pretty much.
Since phase one. Since phase one.
Yeah, so it's like they're finally, I wouldn't even really call it a redemption arc, because for me, I definitely don't feel that the things that he did as Winter Soldier were his faults, because he was being controlled. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's a redemption arc, but I would say that in his eyes, he probably views it as that. I mean, he literally has somebody call him a hero, and you can just see like the look on his face. He's surprised that somebody would say that about him when he saves them, the people in the van with Walker. In the last episode, he's kind of shocked that somebody would say something positive about him, and so I really liked what they did with Bucky. I don't know if he was in it enough for my liking. They did more with him in the last episode, but I feel like for a show that was supposed to be equally both of them based on the title, they didn't do nearly as much with him as I would have liked. Like, they went into a lot deeper than they have in the past with him, but not as much as they did for Sam, which I get they weren't going to do because Sam was going to become Captain America at the end of this. That was pretty much what the series was going to be about anyway, but Bucky probably should have been a bigger part of it. Although it was nice to see that both of them really affected each other's decisions. So they both kind of were there for each other, which was really nice, because they both just lost their best friend. Steve's gone. We're all having to get over that ourselves as fans. So seeing them kind of go through it together and giving each other the support that they need was nice, even though they're not friends, they're coworkers. But
right.
Because they're not going to admit that they're friends because they're both a little grumpy, but that's okay because I love both of them dearly. Mm-hmm. This is going to probably, I don't know how you'll feel about this.
Here you go. I love controversial opinions.
But you can already tell where I'm probably going to go with this.
Okay.
But I would argue the biggest success of the show that just goes to show that Marvel really can change things up a lot is the fans' reception of Zemo. I remember when Civil War came out, there were not very many people that thought more than just meh about Zemo.
And I was one of them. I was one of them.
Yeah, I was in the group of, alright, you're okay, but I don't think you stand up to somebody like Loki or Ultron or Red Skull in terms of just being that, I don't know if I would say interesting, but in terms of just really like connecting at all, like he seemed very muted. But I did go back and watch Civil War after I had finished Falcon and Winter Soldier. And when I originally watched Civil War, I was too concerned about what was happening to Bucky to really even think about Zemo that much, to be honest. So I kind of missed the fact that at the end of the movie, after rewatching, I really feel that when he did try to kill himself in front of T'Challa at the end of it, that it wasn't just that he didn't want to be caught and didn't want to have to face consequences. I really think the guy was genuinely depressed, which explains some of the mutedness and his personality traits and everything. But I really do think Falcon and Winter Soldier really fleshed out his character a lot more than Civil War did, which of course, given it's a show, you have more time to do that. But I really feel that they did a pretty good job with him. They made people like him, which is a huge feat considering everybody was just kind of like, this guy's alright. I mean, I don't really feel strongly either way about him. And there were a lot of people that didn't like him at all in Civil War. I know a few of those people, but the dancing is particularly interesting.
Okay, I'm sorry. What is up with people getting obsessed with him doing this? Like the thing with the arm. Like what's the? Why is everyone freaking out about that?
You know what's interesting is that I think the reason people probably like that so much is, number one, Zemo has been locked in a prison in Munich, Germany for years, hasn't been able to do anything, is in a club. Of course he's gonna dance. He's been locked up forever. As reserved and awkward as that dancing is, that's literally how we're all gonna feel when we get out of the fun that the world is in right now. So I feel like maybe we were almost in a place where we were willing to accept Zemo more. But also, it's just so awkward. You can't not love it. It's so awkward.
It is so awkward. Like, the thing with the arm is just weird.
I think it's more from a standpoint that, wow, this guy dances as badly as I do. He's also a very intellectual guy, which Zemo is very smart. I mean, his motives are very emotional, but he's been pretty successful in his endeavors so far. Now, the Avengers did not completely destroy each other and did not hate each other permanently, but at the end of the movie of Civil War, he'd achieved his goal. Whether we liked how he did it or not, he did do that.
That's one of the things I didn't like in Civil War. Like, even though, yes, his motives, I understand that, but it's like most of his stuff was based entirely on coincidence. Like, oh, I hope they go to this location so I can show them this footage of Bucky killing his parents. Like, I don't know for sure if they're going to come, but hopefully they will put the dots together. That's one thing that just annoyed me, but I don't know.
The guy's so, calculating. It was a bit odd that a lot of it was left up to chance in Civil War. But in this, it's interesting that we were, as fans, in a place where we could like Zemo more than Walker. I don't trust Zemo at all, because Daniel Bruhl even says not to trust Zemo. He said it in an interview. But
before we get into a tangent about that, though, if I can bring us back real quick, real back, because you went through a lot, and that's great. You went through a lot, but yeah. Though I agree with most of your points, though. Like, going back to Bucky, like, and I did feel like, even though their chemistry overall throughout the show, I thought it was pretty good. But yeah, I did feel like they could have done more with Bucky still. And it's like the show is named after him too. It's not just Falcon. It's Winter Soldier. It's like, I don't understand why they keep doing this to him, you know? But even though I do know, like, I do feel like his development is the most... It does feel like the most positive out of the stuff we've been getting from him in the previous film, so that's something I do enjoy. But it's like, for me, I do wish that there was more of a duality, if that's the word I'm thinking of, duality between Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, make it more of... I would personally want to see more of a conflict of who deserves the shield more, you know? Especially because Bucky is, you know, Steve's best friend, and I know it's like they're setting up for Falcon to get the shield, but it would just make it more interesting to be like, what if Bucky wanted the shield, you know? Especially because Falcon once again gives up the shield, and I'm like, why? Why, man? It's just it's not just like with this, like, I've noticed throughout the MCU that he's always wishy-washy about stuff. Like in Age of Ultron, I don't want to be an Avenger, but by the end of the movie, I'm part of the new Avengers. And then with this, it's like, oh yeah, I'll take the shield on. But then in the next one, it's like, oh, I don't want it anymore. It's too big of a responsibility. Like, I know they're trying. They're trying to make it more complex with how he's feeling right now. Like, maybe he needs to just go through some trial and tribulations before he gets to the shield, which I can appreciate that. And that's what by the time he does become the new Captain America, it does feel a little bit more earned, so I'll give it that. But it's just like, I don't know, it's like I felt like it was 60% Falcon and 40% Bucky, which I'm like, I don't know. And then there was the whole thing of, like, you know, the White Wolf thing that they set up in, it was one of the post-credit, I forget which post-credit scene it was, when he was in Wakanda recovering whatever, they gave him the White Wolf thing, and it's like they don't go into that enough either. And so I was, not to like go off too much, but it's like by the end, when you see Captain America and the Winter Soldier, it would have been more emotionally profound if at the end it was Captain America and the White Wolf, because like they both equally have a good amount of development, you know. We both feel like they went on a journey and they're both completely different people. Like, not to say that they don't go through development at all, but it's just like it could have just been more fleshed out, in my opinion. Because I'll say up front, the first 3 episodes of this show, it was kind of a struggle. I'm going to be honest. It's been kind of a struggle. Because the pacing, it just felt like there was padding so much. And it's like, once again, feeling like Falcon gets more screen time and development than Bucky. And then, yeah, going back to the therapist thing, I'm like, what is up with this therapist BS, man? It's like, it's not funny, it's annoying, and nitpicky thing on a camera aspect. I don't like the use of camera angles they were using whenever they cut to Bucky. It's like these extreme close-ups to the face, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are we being so artsy with this? Like, I felt like it was like M. Night Shyamalan level weird. I'm like, why are we doing this? But I get they're trying to do like a... They're trying to have different feels with Falcon and different feels with Winter Soldier, but it's like, I don't know. I wasn't feeling that, to be honest. Now, going back to Zemo. Yeah, I'm one of those people. If you guys watch my Civil War podcast, you guys know I was not a fan of Zemo at all. I thought he was one of the worst Marvel villains at the time. Because as I said, his plan was just based completely on coincidence. If you cut him out of the movie, I would say the movie doesn't really change that much, in my opinion. But what they did with him in this show, I will say, I actually liked him in this show. And I think it's because he feels different from how he was written in Civil War. Like, he feels like a different character, to be honest. Because, like, now they're setting up that he's been rich this whole time, even though in Civil War, like, he seemed like practically in poverty. But no, he has a butler and planes and everything. And, like, as far as, I think the whole anti-hero aspect they were trying to give to him, I thought was interesting, because you don't know what he's going to do next, and like you're expecting him to turn on them, but he doesn't exactly. And I like that they brought in the purple mask. The purple mask, that's what I've been wanting from Civil War, even though he only wears it in one scene, which I'm like, ugh, okay, whatever. But I'm glad that they even did that. And just like, he did seem more interesting. He seemed more charismatic. And like, when I expected them to go a certain way with Zemo, they go in a different direction. So they subverted my expectations for where his development was going to go. So they definitely made him a more interesting character for sure. Yeah, since we're talking, we touched lightly on John Walker. John Walker. Okay. So this is gonna be weird because like I didn't like him. I didn't. But I did feel like I did think his development was interesting, but overall him as a character I don't like. And maybe that was the show's intention, for you to not to like him. And like the overall the whole thing of they feel so desperate to have another person take on the symbol of Captain America without truly understanding what makes Captain America. It's not the super serum, it's not the shield, it's the heart of gold that Steve had. It's like he puts others before himself. He doesn't make drastic decisions. So I feel like his role in the show is reflecting like not anybody can just take on the mantle of Captain America. Like, you gotta have those morals, you gotta have the heart of gold, and it's like Walker does some horrible stuff in this show. It's horrible stuff. But it's like, I understood what they were trying to do. The one thing that bothered me, which we'll talk about later, is like how they just wrapped up his stuff towards the end, where it's like, oh, he's been this douche the entire time, but then he quickly gets redemption and helping them towards the end. I'm like, that was kind of rushed. I don't know if that was earned 100%, but yeah, I don't know. I mixed feelings on it. How would you feel about Walker?
So, because I hadn't watched the trailers, I didn't know what they were doing. So at the end of the first episode, I was a little bit in shock about it, but I was like, alright. I was like, I've heard fan hate about this guy's name. I'm like, I'm gonna give him a chance. Beginning episode 2, Bucky's reaction, I was like, oh no, we're done. I'm like, you have no chances. Bucky doesn't like you, we're done. It's not happening. I'm very loyal to Bucky, so if Bucky doesn't like somebody, I'm not gonna like them, pretty much. But I also feel Bucky is a very good read on people, and I think his initial read of John Walker is very accurate. I mean, the end of the season, when they say we're gonna need an agent, I wonder where they're gonna go with that.
Oh, a U.S. agent.
I wonder where they're gonna go. If you're deep into comic lore, you're probably pretty much guaranteed to know that they're gonna do U.S. agent, who is not Captain America.
Absolutely, he's definitely not Captain America. Yeah,
he's not Captain America.
No.
I did see something with Wyatt Russell where he said he knew that fans weren't going to like his character. I thought his character was interesting. I thought the redemptive arc at the end was not enough to really redeem him. I mean, he was very rude to Bucky the first time that they met, which I did not like. I didn't like that. I thought it was an interesting writing ploy, and I think that it worked to make you like him less, if that was their intention. But
yeah, and not to mention the fact he brutally kills someone with a shield.
I was like, I was so upset by that. I actually messaged my cousin, who's a huge Marvel fan. Shout out to her for introducing me to Bucky, by the way. But I actually messaged her, and I quote, I would trust Zemo to be Captain America more than I would John Walker after that. Just because it was such a visceral moment of just like, oh my god, Cap would never do that. He would absolutely never do that. No, Zemo obviously should never be Captain America because, oh my god, the world would be a mess.
Nope.
But, no, we don't want that. But we also don't want John Walker to be Captain America.
No.
That's gonna cause... them even having given him that opportunity is gonna cause a lot of pain for people later. I mean, Bucky is one of those characters that he's had a lot of things happen to him where people have... He's had things happen to him that make his trust very shaken, so he goes with his gut read on people, and he changed his view of Walker by the end of the series, and once we see that Walker really is the douchebag that he's been all along when they go into further projects with him, because I'm expecting that's probably where they're going to go with that. I have a feeling Bucky's very upset by that. But I thought his character development was interesting. I did feel that all of a sudden I'm going to magically save these people because I'm a good person now.
Since when?
Way too forced and way too quick for me.
Yeah, and then, like, I don't understand this whole thing with Valentina, this lady that appoints him to do whatever. Like, what was the point of her? Like, I don't know. Maybe she's a character in the comics that I don't know, because I'll be honest, I don't care that much about U.S. Agent in the comics, so it's like I don't know if this has anything to do with it. But just like this whole thing with Valentina was just so confusing. Like, what is her purpose exactly? Like, I don't know. And then this whole thing with the U.S. Agent, it didn't feel earned by the time we got to the end. It just felt very rushed. I mean, yes, does he help Bucky and Falcon towards the end? Sure, but I still don't think that's enough to be like, oh yeah, he should be a hero, or set him up to be a hero in the next wherever he's gonna be. I don't know. So unless they go the route where they're gonna make him an antagonist again, and Valentina has some some evil stuff set up for him that he's not aware about, but other than that, no. no. And then one thing that really irritated me is we don't really see why he was chosen as Captain America. I mean, yes, they imply it on the news, they do something quick wrap-ups or whatever, but it's like that's not enough for me to be like, oh yeah, you I see why you're Captain America. Like, no. I needed like one episode maybe of you training to be Captain America, you showing going through the test to actually prove that you're worthy. But because all that just felt and once again, maybe that was their intention, to be like, yeah, it shouldn't feel right, he's not Captain America. So I don't know, I'm just mixed on it. I'm not sure.
Zemo, he said it, he's like, we don't want another Red Skull. Well, if that's what we're setting up,
boy,
him to be an antagonist, then great. If they weren't, why bother? Almost.
Right. Speaking of other things that I wasn't digging that much was the Flag Smashers. Nope, that was an absolute no. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make them like the Robin Hoods of this story, being like their intentions are pure, but their actions are kind of questionable, and that's the problem. Because even though I like the main girl, Carly, played by Erin Kellyman, I actually like that actress. She was in Solo, a Star Wars story, and I thought she was good in that. But the character in this, I couldn't get with her motivations. I couldn't, because like they're pleading so much that, you know, there's people in poverty and the government doesn't care about them and all this other stuff, but it's like they don't go into that enough, you know. They don't really talk about how this personally is making her feel, you know. It's like we don't get into like how is she emotionally attached. I mean, yes, we get this funeral of this one lady that passed away, and you see the casket, and they're saying they're doing it for her, but it's like, for what reason? Like, what did the government do exactly? Like, is it that what they're I don't know. I mean, it's literally just breadcrumbs for development. So it's like when they're killing innocent people, like buildings explode and a bunch of people die, like, why am I supposed to get behind this? It's not like Killmonger, where his motivations were all laid out and you completely understand why he does the things he does, even though he's crazy. It's like you felt for Killmonger. I felt like that's what they were trying to do with Carly and these flag smashers, but it didn't fully work for me, and I didn't care about their whole Robin Hood thing, and I felt that's what they were trying to do, but it didn't work for me. And plus, the Flag Smasher name is stupid. Like, Flag Smashers, are you kidding? Like, I know that's a person in the comic books, but like, even then, I couldn't take it seriously. It just felt really silly. But what did you think about the Flag Smashers?
So, yeah. Not a very well fleshed out plot point in the series. Definitely one of the weaker aspects of it. And I, like you, did not really think they went into their motivations very much. I kind of felt that it was just as a way for them to set up that Sharon was a villain. That's kind of what it felt like to me. Also, why did they not go into how this girl, yes, she has the serum in her, but why did they not go into how she ended up on Zemo's radar? If she ended up on Zemo's radar, she had to have done something or been important somehow. And they did not go into that, other than, oh, she has superpowers now, so he doesn't like her. That's not enough. Zemo is not a guy that's going to waste his time with just some random girl that has superpowers. So, why they didn't go into that. I do think that the one thing I did like about them was that they really showed that Sam is a ask questions first, punch later kind of person, which is how Cap would have been too. And I liked that part, and I felt that was effective, but their motivations for doing things was not explained well. I mean, half the time I was expecting it to be that there was some sort of connection and Walker actually knew about them, and I just didn't know where they were going with it at all. It was very hard to get a read on them throughout the whole thing. Even by the end, it was like, I don't know anything about these people. Like, right. I don't know anything about them other than that they grew up in poor situations after the blip ended, started. See, it's just not, the whole idea of them is just not clear. Their storyline was not fleshed out well enough. I mean, I don't even remember the names of the other Flag Smashers. I don't either. To be honest, that's how just nondescript they were about them. I really think that that's just another unfortunate storyline that was a victim of the fact that they tried to wrap it all up too quickly. I really feel that the show overall was, Sam becoming Captain America needed to happen by the end of season 1. Even the White Wolf thing, needed to most likely happen by the end of season 1. I can see if they were planning a season 2 why they wouldn't do that. But if they aren't, then it doesn't make sense that they wouldn't change that, and also that they really didn't go into the Flag Smashers much. The only thing that I can think of is maybe Carly isn't actually dead. I mean, she did have super serum in her, so I mean, we saw Bucky fall out of an airplane, and he's alive. So, I don't know.
Though most of
I don't know where they were going with it.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely one of the weaker points for me.
Yeah, and then it's like I don't even know like if she's still alive, like how where was she gonna go? Because like the other Flag Smashers got killed because Zemo killed the last of them, right? So it's like where
Butler.
Yep, by the butler. Yep, exactly. So it's like, where is it gonna go if she comes back? So I don't know. Speaking of Sharon Carter, I did like her. I liked her throughout the other stuff, like Winter Soldier, Civil War. I thought she was pretty good. And this she's really good as well. The one thing that I didn't really care that much about, or didn't feel like they fleshed out enough, was the whole power broker thing. Like, what is that? Like, again, this is probably something from the comics that I don't know about. Like, but they didn't flesh that enough. What is the power broker? What is her role in this? I mean, yeah, they're setting her up for future installments, so maybe they'll go into that more, but it's like I don't understand the significance of the power broker in this show. Does it have to do with technology? Does it have to do with government secrets? Does it have to do with I don't know, but you know, other than that, I mean, I do like Sharon Carter. I enjoyed her in the show. She had some really cool fighting scenes, and once again, she brutally killing people as well. This show is very brutal. I didn't expect it to be this brutal because I'm used to Marvel being lighter, you know, and being more of a family friendly type thing. But it's like, they released the shackles a little bit in this show, which is I do appreciate that it had a different vibe than most of the other things. Even though it is consistent with the tone of Winter Soldier and Civil War, it did feel like consistent with that. But yeah, I did appreciate they didn't shy away from being a little more violent, and like the violent moments were at the right places. It didn't feel gratuitous. So yeah, the one other plot line I thought was interesting was the whole plot with Isaiah, who is a person that was given the super soldier serum and he served in the war, but they treated him dirty after the war was over. Nobody knew he existed, and then he also has a similar development with Falcon. Like, I didn't expect for them to go to talk about this subject, about how there's prejudice against black people and like being a symbol of America and stuff like that. I did not expect for them to go in that direction, but like I'm really glad that they did, especially because since they are gearing up Falcon to be the new Captain America, I'm glad that there's something that they talked about, because like, not to get too political and stuff like that, but it's like it is something that I feel like should be addressed, since making the fact that a black person is wearing the stars and stripes, and like there is racism and prejudice in the country. I'm glad that they touched on that, because I feel like that would be something that's kind of an elephant in the room with him taking on the mantle, that not everyone's going to accept it. So I did really appreciate that. And then the whole development with Isaiah, like, it was heartbreaking, considering the fact that we don't know how many people got experimented on with the super soldier serum. And it's like, that's something that they were alluding to in the other movies, but like, I actually felt the impact of that. Like, this is messed up how they treated these people, especially Isaiah, just treated like an afterthought. And nobody, and like even him going to jail for it as well. It was very, very heartbreaking. You could just feel the pain with Isaiah's character in the show. So I really found that profound. What did you think about it?
So I I was really happy that they discussed that topic, because with Sam being Captain America, they're directly addressing some of the fans that are there. There's fans in every fandom that are a little bit, shall we say, prejudiced. So I think it was important because I've seen so many comments of, why didn't they just make Bucky Captain America? I'm like, well, number one, Steve and Bucky talked about it, and I'm pretty sure Bucky said he didn't feel that he deserved it and didn't want it. So I've seen some of the fan things, and I'm like, come on, guys. I'm like, this is 2021. We should be over it. We shouldn't be thinking this way, but
yeah, you think so?
But the treatment of Isaiah was definitely one of the most heartbreaking parts of the story. Also, I found it really interesting that they made it very obvious that Zemo, who is a villain in the MCU, definitely is doesn't like fascists and doesn't like racists and doesn't like those kinds of individuals that would be against Sam being Captain America. So it's like, wow, you even have the villain that is not supposed to like superheroes being like, come on, guys, really?
Yeah.
With this little comment about the album, which was hilarious because Bucky was like, I liked it.
Oh my god.
Bucky's kind of a grumpy old man, but that's why I love him. But I think another one of the more important things was when they had just visited Isaiah and the cops in that small town didn't recognize Sam. And they were like about to, I don't even know what they were about to do, but they literally asked Bucky, is this guy bothering? And he was like, honestly, if anything, I love you, Bucky, but you were bothering Sam. So
like, we're just talking.
Yeah, and I also feel that they also addressed some of the things about mental health stigma. I mean, with Bucky, they're treating him like he's gonna go back to being this killer just instantly, in an instant. Court mandated therapy, with a terrible therapist.
Horrible.
As somebody with mental health issues myself, who goes to a therapist, that's not how you do therapy. You don't threaten a notebook at somebody. That's Zemo shtick. He's the notebook guy, not Bucky's therapist. That's not how that should be. I actually saw somebody had created an alternate title for the show that was Racism and How We Treat Our Veterans. It was pretty apt description of some of the areas that they touched on, that not a lot of Marvel things have gone into mental health or into racial issues, which I think, given the times right now, is very important that they touched on that, and they made it very clear Sam's going to be Captain America, and that I think that Bucky taking Sam to see Isaiah put a little bit more of the pressure on Sam to understand why he had to take the mantle. That it wasn't even just about him, which when Steve became Captain America, it wasn't just about Steve. It's about what the country needs in that moment, and the country needs to heal, and I feel like Sam is a good person for that. Because Sam, he understands the struggles of a lot of people, and he's a good person, and we see that in his treatment of Carly too. I mean, he's definitely I'm gonna try to talk it out first, figure out why people are doing these things. I'm not just gonna go in guns blazing and kill everyone, because that would be wrong. I thought that the ending, when they had Isaiah, they had the display for I definitely had tears streaming down my face. I was like,
it was beautiful.
Finally, I was like, this guy is getting the recognition he deserves. I mean, he was experimented on, he was put in jail. I was like, he's in hiding. I'm like, the world has to think he's dead for him to be safe. I'm like, I felt so bad for the guy. And then when they did that at the end, I was like, I'm so glad that they did that, because I thought they were just going to leave that unresolved, and they didn't, and I was so happy, and Stan Lee would have been proud of that moment. Stan Lee definitely would have been proud of that. I mean, the guy created Black Panther for a reason.
Absolutely.
But I was really happy that they did that at the end of that, and that they discussed that topic, because that's something that I was always surprised that the Marvel movies never went into a lot of political things. I kind of guessed they were going to go that route when, after Isaiah, they first talked to Isaiah, and when Zemo did his little justification speech on the plane about being if you don't agree with my interpretation of it, then feel free. But I felt that he was kind of coming out against corruption in all different parts of government and with people that have power, which is interesting because in Sokovia he was one of the elites. So I think it's really interesting that he would be one of those people that would take up that mantle that's like, corruption in any form is bad and has to be stopped, because you wouldn't expect that out of somebody that's a baron. But yeah.
Talk about real quickly about Sarah, Sam's sister. I thought she was pretty good, and I did like that they gave a little development towards his family, and Sam trying to help her with her business and stuff like that, getting loans from banks. Like, this is this stuff you don't normally talk about in superhero films, so it's like, I'm glad that they touched light on that. And then their whole thing of, they have this boat that's been a part of the family for generations, and both of their parents passed away, so it's like they feel like they want to keep that boat just for because they believe the family wouldn't give that away, and even though it doesn't work, and they're trying to figure out a way to get it working again. I just liked all that. And then Sam's nephews, I like them too, they're pretty fun. Going to Bucky real quick, there was a development between him and this old man called Yuri, and apparently Bucky killed his son back when he was the Winter Soldier working for Hydra. That was interesting, though. I felt like it wasn't as heavy as they wanted it to be, because there wasn't enough scenes with Bucky and Yuri, in my opinion. Like, we don't understand, like, why does Bucky have a connection with this person? I mean, yes, it does suck that he, out of his control, killed his son. It's very tragic. And, it is, him trying to come in terms with who he is as a person, trying to move past the Winter Soldier stuff. So that's fine. But it's like, why this person specifically? Like, what is his connection to Bucky specifically? I don't know. I didn't feel like they fleshed out Yuri's character enough, but I did feel their intentions with it, though. But did you like the Yuri storyline?
I'm assuming that he was one of the people in Bucky's book that he needed to make amends with. I'm assuming that's probably what that stems from, but they didn't really go into it, and I think that they should have. I think, oh my god, Zemo had the book. Come on, just have him say the guy's name.
Right.
Like, something, anything, please. But I'm really annoyed that they didn't show the conversation where Bucky told him what happened.
Right.
Because this whole show, Bucky has been on this journey of healing, and I'm like, so we just didn't get to see the moment where he literally probably healed some of the worst hurts that he's put on himself and in his mind. We just we're not going to show that, but we're going to show his therapist threatening him with a notebook. Like
what?
I didn't like that. I didn't like that they didn't go into the conversation, and I didn't really like it that they didn't go into why he sought out Yuri to begin with. Like I said, I assume it's because he was one of the people on the list that he needed to talk to, but I mean, they didn't go into that, which you really should have. But just to touch on something Bucky related that is on a more positive note,
right.
Bucky and Sarah.
Oh yeah.
So we all know from Captain America: The First Avenger, Bucky back in those days was no stranger to the art of flirting, and girls. Like, yeah. I'm pretty sure that he basically had 2 dates to the World Expo, even though technically the other girl was there for Steve, but it's Bucky. So he definitely was hanging out with 2 pretty women. So, I actually think that was him flirting with Sarah was almost like a good show that he's starting to heal a little bit. A good sign of that. Also, I really would not mind them getting together. I know Sam said no, so that's not going to happen. But
hey, screw it! I want to see it. I want to see it.
I want to see it too. I want to see it. I'm like, come on, man. I'm like, Bucky's a good guy. Like, it would be great. And the way he was with those kids.
Oh yeah.
My God.
Oh yeah.
I was like, the kids are just dangling from his arm. I'm like, and they're looking at him like he's the coolest person ever. I'm like, that's gotta feel good for Bucky.
Yep, Uncle Bucky.
Yeah, and that's honestly one of the first times in the show, I think, that you see him not wearing black. If I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
So it's like, somebody's starting to actually open up their color palette because they're not as depressed anymore. That's awesome. I also learned a fun fact. We know the fate of Bucky's ice cream cake that he brought on set. One of the people that worked on the show said that it was eaten by the kids on set. So the cake was okay. The cake got eaten.
Perfect. Adding on top of the positive Bucky side. Ayo and the Dora Milaje make an appearance in this show, and I was so happy. as soon as Ayo come, I was like, oh yes, Wakanda. But a beautiful scene was a flashback when Bucky was in Wakanda and Ayo is trying to break his mind control and stuff like that. He gives him the trigger words, and seeing him, resisting that, and then Ayo saying you're free, and just seeing the reaction on Bucky's face. I thought that was absolutely beautiful. Just seeing him, just resist those trigger words to make him a killer machine. That was absolutely great. And just the Dora Milaje is always great. They're never bad. And I really liked the scene with when they were fighting Walker and everyone, and I thought that was entertaining. There was a cool part where Ayo deactivated Bucky's arm and it dropped from his thing. I was like, oh! Like, did you expect him to do that? I was like, nope. I thought that was great. Absolutely great. But yeah, so let us talk about Falcon becoming Captain America. Let's talk about that suit. That freaking suit. Comic accurate suit. Absolutely glorious. Oh my gosh, it was great. I didn't even expect for them to go so comic accurate with the suit, but it looks so good. It looks so good. I love the white on it. I like his goggles, and he got new wings as well, and it all looked great with his shield. I thought it was great. That last episode where he's in his Captain America uniform kicking ass, I thought all that was great. And then there was that one part where one of the senators was like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Captain America." I was like, "Yeah, damn right, you Captain America." Yes, absolutely great. Yeah, just the whole chase sequence with the helicopters was beautiful, and even the what is that? What's that remote control bird thing that he has?
Oh gosh, it has a name.
I think it was Red Wing or something like that.
Red Wing.
Yeah,
because
like
Bucky doesn't like Red Wing.
right, exactly. So I thought that he got an upgrade as well. I thought that was cool. And he did pretty well with the shield too. He's doing flips and stuff just like Steve, and it's just like it's so cool. And he doesn't even have the serum. He's doing all this by himself. So I really appreciate that. Like, I was worried that they were gonna give him the super soldier serum, but I'm glad they didn't do that because he don't need it. He got the wings, got the shield.
He wouldn't take it.
Exactly.
So
he won't even take
so
it.
Like, I don't want it.
So I thought all that was great. And with him when the Flag Smashers were taking that truck with all the senators in there and it was about to fall off of a building, whatever, seeing him push it back to safety, like, awesome. There's so many cool moments. Like, oh, it's so great. How did you feel about his suit and his overall fighting sequence? What'd you think?
So I actually literally burst out crying in happy tears when Bucky literally just yelled, "That's Captain America!" I was like,
yes!
I was like, yes, Captain America!
It's Captain America!
I was like, of course Sam Wilson's Cap. I'm like, what better endorsement do you need than Steve Rogers' best friend, world?
Mm-hmm.
None. Oh my gosh. The suit is awesome.
Oh yeah.
I think it's really cool, very comic accurate.
Comic accurate.
I really liked it a lot. I thought it was super cool. I think it's awesome. I think it's kind of cool that because he has the technology aspect, it's almost like an Iron Man and Captain America thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like
with a mix of Wakanda, because all that stuff is vibranium too, so...
Yeah, so cool. It's just a nice blend of a whole bunch of different parts of the Marvel Universe, and I really thought it was cool. Him saving the people, figuring out that one person in the helicopter was a pilot, I was like, oh yeah, I was like, you go, Sam. I was like, you're so awesome. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I love Red Wing. Look at him going around figuring out all of the skills of the people in the helicopters. Like, yeah, he's got like a little sidekick.
Yeah.
Like how Spidey has, oh gosh, the little...
yeah, that little spider thing, yeah.
The little spider thing that he has now. It's like, oh, that's so cool.
Oh, yeah.
I really liked that. Also, I don't know if you caught it, there was so in the comics, there is a new Falcon after Sam becomes Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam tells Torres he doesn't want those old wings anymore. I'm wondering if they're gonna have him become the new Falcon.
You talking about Bucky? Or...
Torres, his friend who's in the military.
Maybe.
I do know in the comics, I'm pretty sure that Sam's best friend ends up being Falcon at some point. I'm not 100% versed in that storyline, but I do know that there is somebody else who takes over as Falcon, which would be pretty cool. I think that would be kind of cool. I mean, Falcon is a cool character. Like, it doesn't need to be gone. It can be somebody else.
Yeah.
But Sam is Captain America. He's wonderful. He is a character that really has a lot of integrity, which is what Steve had, which is what you need in Captain America. It's not all just about the outfit and the shield and all the glory of it. That's a big part of it, but that's not all that it is. It's like Bucky says to Walker, did you ever jump on top of a grenade? And Walker's like, I did. And I'm like, I highly doubt that you did, but okay.
Yeah, he used a helmet too, so it wasn't technically him. He used the helmet. I was like, really?
It wasn't him.
He was.
But yeah, so when it was like, what's that in the sky? And Bucky's like, that's Captain America. It really took me back to in the moment in Captain America, the First Avenger. Yes, I rewatched all of the MCU movies before watching Falcon and Winter Soldier because I wanted to remember these things clearly. But it really brought me back to the moment, I don't know if you remember it, in Captain America, the First Avenger, after Steve rescues Bucky and all of the other soldiers from Red Skull's little prison thing, and Bucky yells, let's hear it for Captain America. He even said it in the same kind of voice that he said, that's Captain America about Sam. I was like, that is such a good nod to the old movies. The older movies. I don't know if anybody else picked up on it. I don't know if I'm sure just crazy for making the comparison.
I'm sure some people will catch that.
I loved that. I was like, yes. It was like, it's time. I was like, Sam is Captain America.
Oh,
yeah. We're ready for that. And then the fact that they announced Captain America 4 literally right after, I think it was like 6 hours after the episode dropped. And they even asked Anthony Mackie, he's like, I didn't know anything about it yet.
Yeah, I just found that out on TV. I'm like, what?
No, not about it, but okay. He also wants to do more projects with Sebastian Stanley's Bucky, so that's kind of cool. I was like, yeah, Sam's very deserving, and the outfit was cool, and it was great, and yeah, I mean, I really was sold on him being Captain America the second that Zemo asked him about the super soldier serum, and he so blatantly said, I don't want it, I don't need it, I've seen what it does to people and I don't want it. Which is really with zero hesitation, by the way, which Zemo even comments on. I think he was actually a little bit impressed almost, which is interesting.
Right.
Zemo is just an interesting dude. But yeah, I was really happy with how they did that, with how they had him come in. I am so happy, and I'm so happy for all the future projects that they're going to do with him, and I'm really looking forward to them. I was like, please don't let this be the end. I'm like, I need to see more of them, and I was so happy that they did that, and then Captain America 4 was announced. It was like, that is just the cherry on top of the sundae. I was like, I'm so happy
so great.
They're gonna do that.
So great. So all these rumors, I'm just gonna call this out right now. All these rumors about, oh, they want to bring Steve back in some way. No, don't want it at all. I want Sam Wilson Captain America from this point forward. Like, don't try to bring Steve Rogers back. Like, that's gonna take away from Sam, you know? So it's like, I hope those rumors aren't true. But yeah, I'm all in. I'm all in for Sam as Cap, for sure. One other thing that I liked from Sam, the new Captain America, I liked his speech towards the end with the senators. I liked how, he's calling them out on their BS, being like, they're the reason why the Flag Smashers are doing what they're doing, like their ignorant decisions with, the law and not paying attention to the people. Like, this is why, the country is in shambles. And, he's also addressing the fact that, yeah, I'm the new Captain America, and I know people won't like that, but, I have every right, just as much as any other American, whether they're blonde-haired, blue eyes, or whatever, I have the same amount of rights, to fight for, what I believe in as Captain America, So I thought that was beautiful, and that is something that, that's in the vein of what Steve Rogers would do, if he was still alive. So that definitely sold me that, I want to see Sam as Captain America from now on. I think he earned it. It just, from that speech alone, he sold me. So I thought that was great. I think we covered everything. So I think the only thing to talk about is the mid-credit scene, which is Sharon getting the pardons from the government, and then she's talking to some people on the phone about, now that I have pardons and I'm working with the government, I'm going to give this certain organization secrets, and I'm the power broker, so get ready. And that was it. So we'll see what they do with that, but Again, I don't know the significance of it. I don't know if I should be excited or not, but
There are some theories. I'm just gonna give a quick show of my little notebook because it is very show app. My unintentionally Zemo notebook from Civil War. Sorry, people, did not intend that when I bought it. But I also treated this show watching like a mission and took plenty of notes because I am that person. So there have been some theories about Sharon. There's theories that she's been replaced by a Skrull, which I'm not keen on that one. I hope they don't go that route. That one was somewhat disproven too. I don't really think they'll go that route.
hope not, because like.
But also, and I really like this a lot, is that there's a reason they had Rhodey in the show. There's a theory that she's going to be the main bad guy of Armor Wars.
Oh, okay.
That's what this is setting up for her, which I think would be pretty cool. Because I'm sure that Sharon and Rhodey have met, but I also think Rhodey is one of those people that could probably see through her pretending to be one of the good guys kind of thing. I really like Rhodey as a character in the MCU, actually. I don't think he gets utilized enough.
Yeah, I agree.
I really like him a lot. I think as a role model for Sam, too, is kind of nice to see that as well.
Yeah.
But I'm almost wondering if they're not setting it up for Armor Wars, because she did mention weapons. I mean, Armor Wars is called Armor Wars. So,
Right.
I mean, they could go that route with it. That could be really, really cool.
Or maybe Ironheart.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if they're not setting up a US Agent series.
Oh, God.
I don't know if I would like them to do that, but the only thing is I'm trying to guess what Marvel is going to do is, like, trying to solve whether Loki is a good guy or not. It's never going to be figured out.
Can we figure that out, please? Like, I wish he'd just stay dead, man. Like, why?
He's died a lot. But, you know, they didn't kill Zemo at the end.
Nope.
He kind of won at the end, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you think about it, his butler, which there are some theories about him being Gore, which is a comic character that killed the most super soldiers out of anyone in the Marvel Comics universe, so far to my knowledge anyway. So that's interesting. I know Daniel Bruhl has mentioned that since he was in Civil War, he wanted very desperately for Zemo to wear the mask at least once in Civil War and was upset that he didn't. And then he wore it one time in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Daniel Bruhl was like, I wanted them to do more because it's such an iconic comic thing. But also,
I know.
Just on a biased note, Daniel Bruhl's face is very nice, and I would be a little sad if they glued it to his face like happens in the comics. I don't want that to happen. But that's just me. Showing a little fangirl here, sorry folks. But given that Daniel Bruhl's pretty excited with what they did with Zemo, and given that they didn't kill him, and I mean, he's locked away in a prison, but the dude got out of prison once. He's gonna do it again.
Gonna do it again.
I mean, the second he finds out John Walker's walking around, pun intended, he's gonna break out. I mean,
yeah.
So I almost wonder if, because I think a him versus Sharon story would be interesting. I think that could be an interesting way to go too. Because if she started this whole super soldier serum trend again, then Sharon is far more evil than we ever thought.
Yeah.
But I'm also really hoping with future projects that they'll kind of stop bringing up Peggy in relation to Sharon, just because I really don't think that it would be fair to ruin Peggy's legacy in that way, personally.
Yeah, I see
people
that.
don't really want them to bring Steve back. I think if they did a flashback, that would be fine. But I don't want them to have him be alive again. I know with this whole multiverse thing that they're planning that there's the potential, but please don't do that.
Yeah, please don't do that. Don't bring Iron Man back either. Please don't bring Tony Stark back. Please.
Not Iron Man either. I saw something on a billboard that was out west somewhere asking for them to bring Tony back. It was like in real life, not in a show or anything. And it was like, I don't want that. As much as I miss both him and Steve, I don't want that.
No, I don't want it. No.
I also, speaking of future Marvel projects, Black Widow, interesting.
At this point, it just killed my excitement. It just killed my excitement. Them pushing it back so many times. You know?
I know. Post Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm highly doubting they're going to go the comic route where they had Bucky train her. But that would be interesting. But I highly doubt they're going to do that. We would know about it by now, given they've pushed this movie back so many times. But I mean, if they were going to bring back any of the main Avengers that died, maybe her, but I don't really want them to bring anybody back.
Yeah.
Because it kind of devalues their sacrifice.
Right. Exactly.
And I would not like that. Now, I will say, if they hadn't brought everybody back after Infinity War, I would have been very mad. That I would not have been happy about. I'm pretty sure that I came home after that movie and yelled, "They killed Spider-Man," and just bawled for forever.
Yeah, that's how it was too.
Yeah. Future projects are going to be interesting. Now that there's all this multiverse stuff, which even Mysterio confirmed, which I'm not convinced he's dead.
I'm not either. You know, Sinister Six, they got to set that up.
Yeah, but also, I am very interested to see what's going to happen with everything once they do Doctor Strange in the multiverse. I think that's going to change everything. I think that all of these shows and things that are coming out pre that they're all leading up to something. It really feels like all of it is leading up to some big thing Marvel has planned again.
Yeah.
Of course, they're not going to know about it. They're not going to give that away because it's Disney and Marvel. They're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is coming from the girl who was so nervous about the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think I cried like 3 times because I was like, they're going to kill Bucky because they're not going to use him in anything else, and they're just going to kill him, and they didn't, and I was so happy.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
I was so relieved. Because given Marvel's past history with Bucky, I was concerned they would do that.
Yeah.
They didn't, thank God. But I really feel like everything's leading up to something, and if it all is leading up to some giant thing again, I mean, what's going to beat Thanos? Are they going to go the Galactus route? I mean, they are bringing in Fantastic Four.
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom. There's a whole bunch of routes they could go with him.
Kane the Conqueror is going to be in Ant-Man 3, so...
Oh, yeah, that's going to be insane. Also, speaking of which, Ant-Man, because he was in WandaVision, the secret agent that was trying to keep Scott Lang in his house. Yeah. Apparently there are people that want him and Darcy to have a series.
Please stop. No. They're already... Yeah. I didn't like them in Ant-Man and Thor films, but they were good in WandaVision. Don't ruin it, please. Don't ruin it.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting for future projects, but I think the Sharon storyline is leading up to something. And there's a fair number of things that it could be, but to me, the most logical conclusion is Armor Wars. That they're going to go that route. Given that, I mean, they had Rhodey in the series, which doesn't seem unintentional. So...
Well, we'll see then. We will see. So yeah, I think we're going to go to grades now. Overall, I enjoyed this show. I thought it was pretty good. Do I think it's a bit overrated? A tad bit. It's a tad bit. like people saying this is fantastic, this is great, this is phenomenal. Like, no, it's not. There's some great moments in the show for sure. But, you know, I just felt like there were some things they could have fleshed out more with people's development, and it could have been a little longer. Even though I felt like the first 3 episodes they were padding out a lot, so they could have spent more time developing stuff in the first 3 episodes. But when you get to 4, 5, and 6, I was like, oh, this is really good. This is really enjoyable. But yeah, I really enjoyed Falcon. I really enjoyed Bucky, and I love that Falcon is the new Captain America. I can't wait to see what they do with him in future projects. And, you know, I hope they do more with Bucky as well, because, you know, he deserves more. You know, make him the White Wolf. Make him the White Wolf. That'd be great. Yeah, I liked Sam's sister, and John Walker. I wasn't the biggest fan of his character, but I appreciate that his storyline, you know, enhanced Sam and Bucky's, you know, development. So on that level, I appreciate it. I just didn't care about his character. I like the Dora Milaje. I thought was great. The Flag Smashers, didn't really care for them. Zemo, I actually like him now. He's actually an interesting character. I'm glad they fleshed his character out more. But yeah, I thought it was an enjoyable show. I liked it. It'll probably get... It's pretty good. I'll give it a pretty good. For sure. Alright, what about you, Kaylee?
So, I thought there were things about it that were not perfect. I'm one of those weird people who liked it more than WandaVision, not because WandaVision was bad or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a very character-driven person when I watch something, and I think that the fact that they were able to change people's opinions on Zemo is actually pretty impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
And just them using Bucky alone makes me a little biased because I love Bucky. But I thought that the show was really, really good. I thought it set up a lot of possible future options. I'm not going to give it a perfect score by any means because there were some things that I had issue with, but I actually I have this lovely little ranking of the MCU projects in my head, and I kind of rank this on par with where I rank, I think it was Infinity War, because I rank Endgame at the highest for MCU projects, and then there's a tier below that, and I rank this with Infinity War, so I'm going to give it a greatness rating because I really, really, really liked it a lot. Okay. I was absolutely in love with the stuff that they did with Bucky. I think they could have done more, but all that they did with him I was in love with and thought it was very true to his character, and because it's Bucky, I was concerned that maybe they wouldn't do him quite justice, which they didn't entirely. They didn't call him White Wolf at the end, but maybe they have plans for that, and we don't know. It is Marvel, after all.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So yeah, I gave it a greatness rating because I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was one of those things that my friends who are all Marvel fans, I have a couple friends that they're a bit behind on watching things, and it was like, you need to watch this. This is great. You have to watch this. You have to see this storyline. There's so many things it's done that Marvel has never done before. It touched on political things. It touched on mental health things. It was a darker show than I think a lot of Marvel projects have been. Discussions of things that can actually relate to the real world kind of thing. So that's why I'm giving it that rating also.
Okay. Cool. Well, that is our thoughts on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What did you guys think about it? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was okay? Comment below and let us know. I'd like to thank Kaylee for joining with me on this podcast. Hopefully we'll get you on more episodes in the near future. Awesome. So the next Marvel project I think we'll be talking about most likely is Black Widow. Let's figure out how that situation is going to be, if they're going to actually stick to their date. But yeah, that's the next film coming out, and the next Disney Plus streaming show coming out is Loki. So we'll talk about that too. Tune in for those when it comes out. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit that bell if you want to be notified on future videos I'll be doing. But that's all we have for you Marvel fans, and we will see you guys in the next video. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.